Live from KSAT12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
A woman left with life-threatening injuries after being stabbed yesterday. It happened west of downtown at the same location where a man was shot numerous times over the weekend.
Police say the two crimes don't appear to be related, but as Devin Clark shows us, that area, which is also a popular hangout for homeless people, has seen dozens of crimes within the past few months.
Something needs to be done because it's going to get worse.
This woman, who doesn't want to be identified, is speaking about crime near a homeless encampment in the area of North Brazos and Kaufman. It's where San Antonio police say a woman in her 30s sustained life-threatening injuries after being stabbed yesterday.
They got into an argument, her and that guy, and they had a struggle, and all I know is he had a gash right here.
Police say the man in his 30s stabbed the woman in her upper torso.
I think he was trying to go for her neck. I'm not sure.
The alleged knifeman took off, and at last check, police were still looking for him.
This neighborhood has seen other recent violent activity. Just on Saturday, a man was shot numerous times during an attempted robbery. In that case, police say someone tried to steal the man's bike, but when he said no, that's when gunfire erupted.
Police say the homeless man who was shot 5 times was taken to University Hospital and at last check was in critical condition. A male suspect was arrested in that case and faces an aggravated assault charge. Though he was taken off the street, fears of future violence are still present amongst those who frequent the area.
Out here, people steal from each other. They wrong each other all the time. So a lot of anger gets built up and stuff, and then they retaliate.
According to the San Antonio Police Department's crime tracker map, since mid-October, there have been dozens of reports of crimes, including assault, aggravated assault, burglary, drug, and weapons violations within a half mile of the recent attacks. Police reminding everyone to report suspicious activity wherever you see it. For now, reporting west of downtown, Devin Clark, KSAT12 News.
New at 6, a Bexar County jail inmate, apparently unhappy with how his case was proceeding in court, took his frustration out on a trio of bailiffs. That led to a violent confrontation in a holdover cell and some serious charges against David Murphy, that inmate. Paul Venema in court for a first-hand account of that fight as Murphy's trial begins.
It was a day that Bexar County Sheriff's Deputy Elmendorf Lake said he will not soon forget as he testified in the trial of David Murphy. Murphy is facing charges of assault on a peace officer.
He manages to put his hand on Huffmeyer's gun.
Deputy Pettis said that what happened next was frightening.
He starts pulling on his gun, like he has his hands on it, like if you're holding something, and he's yanking Huffmeyer up and down.
Pettis is talking about a violent fight in a 399th District Court holdover cell in March of 2018. Murphy had just been placed in the cell after a court appearance. He was there facing assault charges. As Murphy wrestled with the deputies, Pettis said he debated on whether to shoot him.
But then I'm thinking, you know what? It's a small area. If I shoot him, it's going to go right through him, and it's just going to ricochet. So I was like, you know what? Just get back in the fight.
A fight that initially caught the deputies by surprise.
I guess he either wanted to escape or kill us, or I don't know what was going through his mind. We managed to get him under control, and he's still trying to fight with the handcuffs on.
This all happened just a few feet the other side of this door. Pettis said aside from his safety, he was worried about everybody here in court. Paul Venema, KSAT12 News.
An update now on a shooting we first told you about at noon involving 2 relatives. Both men have died. The situation has been deemed a murder-suicide. The shooting happened just after 11 this morning at JTM Transport on I-10 and Foster Road on the northeast side. Police say both men worked at the company. SAPD says there was an ongoing work-related argument between the two. And today the suspect walked into work, shot the other man multiple times, and took off in his truck. Soon after, police responded to a Family Dollar, where they say that suspect shot and killed himself. A man we spoke to at the scene knows the family and said the 2 men were actually brothers, and the victim owned JTM. Police have not confirmed any of that information and have not released names as of yet.
A Southside sandwich shop targeted by a burglar. San Antonio police say the would-be thief went to a lot of trouble to get inside, cutting a hole in the roof at the Firehouse Subs. That's in the 2800 block of Southwest Military, not far from South Park Mall. As Katrina Weber reports, police found out about it thanks to delivery drivers who were right on time.
What was supposed to be a quick stop along their route turned into an unexpected delay for these delivery men. As they stepped into this firehouse subs on Southwest Military just before 5 this morning, they immediately noticed things weren't right.
Alarms going off, seeing a safe halfway out, computer missing. I'm like, oh, no, gotta call the cops.
Aiden Hernandez says the biggest signs of the burglary, though, were the dangling ceiling tiles over the counter. Police believe all the damage was done by the criminals who got in by cutting a hole in the roof. Hernandez and Robert Montalongo, in their noisy truck, apparently drove up just in time.
The manager said that he has cameras, and when we pulled up, they had ran out the back door.
Workers who showed up here appeared to be scanning that surveillance video, looking for images of the criminals in action. Police say the burglars escaped, but without getting into the safe. They searched the business for clues to find them and to tally up the losses. The two delivery men, meanwhile, were finally able to make their escape and get back on the road. This crime has left those drivers confused. They're wondering why someone would target a shop that sells sandwiches when there's a cell phone store right next door. Because someone did do it, the staff was left with a mess to clean up before they could open up for business. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
San Antonio police are looking for leads in a robbery at a downtown area hotel last week. It happened last Tuesday at the Grand Hyatt in the 500 block of East Market Street. According to investigators, the suspect approached the victim in the hotel asking to borrow a cell phone. Then police say one of the suspects showed a weapon and demanded money. After a brief struggle, the two suspects ran off. Anyone with information on who these two are asked to call Crime Stoppers at 210-224-STOP.
New at 6, new details on how a popular aquifer protection program might find a new home at SAWS. With the sales tax that funds the city program expiring and the mayor eyeing those funds for transportation use, the Edwards Aquifer Protection Program could end up under the water utility. Garrett Berger was at a SAWS board meeting earlier today getting details on what this might look like and when this could potentially happen. So Garrett, it sounds like the scale of the program would be reduced.
Definitely sounds like a possibility. From what we heard today, the city currently has access to a stream of sales dollars. Meanwhile, the plan that was laid out by the SAWS CEO essentially consisted of paying down borrowed money and less of it. So to start, the program works by acquiring land over the Edwards Aquifer to give it a buffer from contamination. The current 5-year program could get up to $100 million in tax money to spend. But SAWS CEO Robert Puente told us the utility can't match that spending. Under what he labeled the preferred funding option in a presentation to the SAWS board, SAWS would get an $11.5 million break in what it pays to the city, which could largely fund a program over the next 5 years using borrowed money to acquire $52 million worth of land. But he says the public doesn't need to worry about the program's scale being reduced.
It's one of those things where there's not really a set number as to how you protect the aquifer. It's a continuation of not just this program, but many other programs that we currently do already.
Now, Puente cautioned after the meeting that nothing is set in stone, and as such, he can't say right now if rates would have to go up as part of SAWS taking this on. Now, Puente said the board could decide as early as next month whether or not it's going to take over the Aquifer Protection Program. That would free up Mayor Nuremberg to be able to push for the use of those sales tax dollars for transportation funding as he wants. Live downtown, I'm Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Garrett. Let's go to time saver traffic right now. TransGuide at 35 and Loop 410. This is a mess. We're looking southbound right now, and you can see traffic very tied up on the exit ramp there anyway. This is 35 at Loop 410. What's behind me doesn't exactly look inviting, does it? This is what remains of an infestation of what's known as water hyacinth. Its name may sound pretty, but the USDA considers it an aggressive plant species that grows out of control like it did at Elmendorf Lake. With millions spent to create a park and walking trail around the lake, Jesse DeGriato says the city did what it could last year to get rid of the vegetation. But there's still much more to do.
This is how Our Lady of the Lake's namesake looks now, the way it should. Not a seemingly solid field of green after water hyacinth, a highly invasive plant species, overtook Elmendorf Lake. City crews cleared as much as they could, but then stopped at the Commerce Street Bridge for the holidays. and it shows.
My phone. Vegetation so thick beneath the Commerce Street Bridge, it looks like you could almost walk across it. But if you think it's bad here, wait till you see what's down there.
An egret hops on the trash and possible storm debris caught on what remains of the vegetation that's now rotting and dying in the creek that normally would feed into Elmendorf Lake.
Smell it. It's real bad. The stink, it's real bad.
Mike Benya says that's why not many people use the new trail from Elmendorf Park, except for this normally avid cyclist who says he called 311 to report the vegetation several months ago in the channel north of the lake.
And it just kept going and going and going.
Finally, a few months ago, the city responded, but he says it should finish the job, then stay on top of it.
They let it get like this again, we'll be right back to square one again.
If not, he says, it would defeat the purpose of taxpayer-funded improvements around Elmendorf Lake, because as it is now here.
Who wants to bring their kids out here?
Jesse Degollado, KSAT12 News.
So when will they finish the job? Well, we called the city. They say they will have crews out there as early as tomorrow and later this week to finish what it started last July. A spokesman also says the city wants to find out what it can do to try to keep the water hyacinth from coming back.
Let's take a look outside with live cam this evening. 75 degrees out there, a warm one with some peaks of sun after that morning fog and just a soggy morning again, Katie.
Yes, a great start to the day, but that sun this afternoon did help to warm us up. We were just 2 degrees shy of our record high for today's date, and I expect tomorrow afternoon to be very warm as well, but we will start off with more fog in the morning, and we'll talk all about that coming up. The Aquifer is up 0.2 of a foot since yesterday, and this is one of the best looking pollen counts we have had in a while. Mold is low, mountain cedar is moderate, but this is a nice low count for us here, 380. We will take that any day, especially smack dab in the middle of mountain cedar season. More on tomorrow's forecast and our next good chance of rain coming up.